Hello and welcome to another episode of Evening Crypto with your boy, your host, the real SHA-256. Tonight, I am going straight into a Bitcoin chart update. We'll talk about what's going on in traditional markets, continuation of a bull market, of course, and we'll get into some altcoins as well. Um, but mainly, I just want to do just an update on the TA side of things for your favorite cryptos. Again, throw it in the comments if you want me to look at any particular stock, and we could dive into that, or any particular crypto. I do want to talk about Tesos, and I also want to talk about waves tonight specifically. Um, I'm thinking I should focus really on the ones that are making waves. No pun intended there. But really want to focus on the things that are kind of on the up and up instead of focusing on just every random altcoin. Let me know what you guys think. See if that is a good alternative. If you guys agree with me on that, just to get consensus, and I will start doing that, just focusing on the stuff that's really making some headlines. Um, make it more interesting. Let's see. So let's actually do a quick recap of the market. Oh, this thing just kind of went away. Let's do a quick recap of the market. Get rid of some trash here. Let's see. Is that the updated? Yeah, we were at 180 something last night. We're down to 179 with the dip today. Continuation of that dip from yesterday, and then our trading volume, 24-hour trading volume, is up to 84 billion dollars. A lot of it, though, is a lot of the selling pressure. A lot of sellers coming into the buyers still. I'm sorry, that just did not make any sense whatsoever, did it? A lot of sellers coming into the market to push the price further down. Although we are finding that there is a little bit of a balance here happening right here, right now. Bitcoin dominance is up from last night about half a percentage point, so that's good to see. But really, is that really enough to cause a real bounce, a real turnaround in these markets? Everything is pretty much down, as you can see already, except for waves, as we were just mentioning. It was up about 16% earlier today, and so I do want to talk about what it's been doing in the last couple of weeks or so. We'll dive into that here in just a little bit. Um, and just a reminder, I am on Twitter. Please follow me there at the Real SHA-256. That's my handle there. And also the last thing, because I'll try to make this as short as possible. And I want to make these short updates just available to those who subscribe to the channel. I'm not going to be posting these in the Facebook or otherwise other social media platforms as much, because these updates are pretty quick, and I want to make I definitely want to make these things available to those who really care and are part of the community. So, if you want to keep updated with these videos, definitely hit the subscribe button. That way you do get notified whenever I upload a new video. And yeah, so let me know what you think in the comments, and let's get started. Let's look at Bitcoin. Actually, looks like it's definitely finding a bottom here on the 4-hour. Actually, looking at this candle here, looking like a sort of a doji candle. Again, can be indicative of a turnaround or a flip. So we do so far have continuation of that. So it's looking pretty good. Also, the 4-hour RSI is looking pretty bottomed out. I mean, pretty exhausted on the bottom. I wouldn't say oversold, because it's never oversold. It could always keep going down, right? I mean, it could actually come back to the edge of the neutral zone and actually reject it and find a deeper bottom here. So, I mean, it's never a guarantee, right? For those of you who have heard that once you get into the zone, it's buying time. A lot of times it is, but a lot of times it's not, right? I mean, we could always find continuation, as we do find it here in this example here, where you did get into the bear control zone, rejected off the edge of the neutral zone, and came back down and stayed down for a little bit, right? So there's no such thing as oversold, right? Hopefully you guys understand that. That's just people being people. We did find a huge bottom down here, rejected again. It looks things were looking like we were going to get up and actually find a nice little bounce there, but we actually got rejected, stayed within the bear control zone for a little bit longer, and then finally decided to have a nice reaction off of that. So, again, it goes to show these things can get overextended, and bear short-term bear cycles can definitely last longer than what you see, typically here on the RSI, or what people lead you to believe these things last, right? So just want to be mindful of that. Want you guys to be mindful of that, and also trade accordingly. Be careful when you're trading these markets. Now, another thing that I'm looking at from last night, also, I was telling you guys that things were definitely looking like Bitcoin was trying to put in a bottom already. Like things were looking pretty certain that we were starting to build that definite bottom and started to quite possibly have a turnaround, but there just wasn't enough in the pudding there to really call it that. But we saw a small hint of that last night, that things were looking like they're finally going to possibly turn around, and we do see it here now with again, these are sort of I mean, not really the type of signature that I really look for when I look for a reversal, because these are tiny little candles. I mean, doji looking like, but or spinning top. Again, these usually mean reversal, but there's just not enough volume in these, and not enough of a wick either way. So it's just a bad imitation of one. And then we did see, continuation of this dip here, overnight and into the morning hours of earlier today. But then finally we did set more of a proper doji candle here, and now we are starting to turn around. Again, RSI looking pretty bottomish, and then the buying or the bounce volume here definitely getting above the exponential. I do want to see this green follow-up candle get above the exponential as well, so that can we can start to build a little bit of confidence in this bounce. Now, I will say this though, I did hear something through crypto Twitter. I want to give credit to Theo at Crypto99. You guys know that I also look for confluence within other traders. He's definitely one of those that he's Elliott wave based. I don't do Elliott wave, so if you're interested in that, I would recommend you guys go check out Crypto99. Theo is the guy to follow there. But he tweeted out something very, very that I think I wasn't voicing myself, but he did a very good job at actually coming out and really describing the condition of the market right now. Is that you should not place any longs at these conditions. And I've been telling you sort of a similar story, telling you guys, we are on a definite downtrend, and it is very difficult to make money on a downtrend unless you've been shorting all the way. So to kind of go along with that, Theo, just kind of said that you should not be really longing. You should be more interested in shorting these bounces, is what he said. We're not in a bull market to where you would long anything at this point until we see a reversal, right? And that's really what I'm looking for, a reversal in this pattern to start really entering any longs. At this point, I had a long setup from right about 6,600 back here when we hit this bottom, and I actually tweeted out that we were turning around, where things were starting to look bottomish, and we were actually looking at this to have a nice bounce, and we did. So I tweeted out an alert. I know Timmy J actually responded to that. So Timmy J, thank you for staying engaged with us here. And he did actually engage with us and let us know that he was also paying attention to that. So entered along here, exited somewhere around here, thinking that was going to be the top, and also this inverted head and shoulders. We were talking about that back then. Did actually play out. I closed my long, have not been able to enter another long, and or a short for that matter. I find these ranges to be pretty uncertain, and don't really want to enter any longs or short at these levels. And even right now, as we start to look at this reversal, I would not, I'm not entering into any leverage trading, whether one way or the other. If I were to lean on either side, I think we do find a bit of a bounce here. But I would, treat it as more of a scalp than anything, because again, we're not in market conditions are not indicative of, of an opportunity to an actual valid opportunity to long anything at these levels, given the current market conditions. So hopefully you guys are understanding and following in what I am saying. But not financial advice. You guys can definitely trade at your own risk. You guys are adults. You guys probably know what you are doing better than I am. All right, so again, I do want to see that follow through volume here if we are to really believe in this reversal and possible bounce here, as we head into the middle of the week. Hopefully, there will be more buyers coming in here and actually pick up some volume here. That would be nice to as we head into the weekend. Let's look at the daily candle. Daily chart was actually also giving us a signal last night that things were looking pretty bottomish as well. And as we look at the RSI here, number one, and also, I mean, we did get above the exponential here on this particular sell-off here, but not there's no follow through in that sell-off. I mean, is it a sell-off? I would call it a slight dip, right? Somewhat of a dip. Um, and we did get just slightly above the exponential here, so there's a measured amount of sellers as well, right? I don't know if you guys have heard me say that before, but there is sort of a measured amount of sellers here. So right now it seems like the trading volume is on the seller side, but at the same time, there's just not a massive, or a surmounting amount of sellers in the market right now. So keeping things relatively steady, with a bit of lack of volatility, and so these markets are definitely, could say that we're definitely trading in a somewhat of a boring, action, missing sort of trading environment. All right, so that is looking on the daily again, looking like things are definitely hitting bottom here. Let's see again from a daily perspective. This daily candle just opened up about 3 hours and 45 minutes. There's very little buying pressure or buying volume here, as we do see it reflected here with, I mean, just a little nub of a green candle that can easily turn into a red candle here. So not saying that we're again definitely finding a bounce, although the 4 hour and the daily chart actually kind of agreeing on the fact that we could potentially be already finding a bottom here. Now, last night also talked about hopefully not losing this area here around 68. I believe I called it 68.50 last night, or 67.50, I believe. Unfortunately, we did lose it, but we're actually trying to regain it. So let's see. Again, this is a weekly candle, but we still have plenty of time left before this actually closes. So what I want to see is I don't want to see it close below 67.50. If we do close it below 67.50, then that's probably going to mean that we are to find more pressure to the downside again. And now if we look at the weekly as well, it just looks like there's more room to the downside. And again, it's all fine and dandy if we continue to head downwards, as long as we don't break below this line of support here. That'll be fine. We could actually come back and touch it down here, but as long as we're not closing this weekly below 67.50, then there's a possibility that this is a legitimate bounce. All right, so we'll see where this weekly candle ends up closing on Sunday. We're still about 5 days away from that, so we got to stay patient on that. All right, so that's from the weekly perspective. And again, look at this. Last week's selling pressure on the weekly did not even get to the exponential here. So again, there's a relatively measured seller's market right now. I mean, there's only a limited amount of sellers making an impact, of course, but not really, breaking it. Wouldn't say that the bears are actually breaking Bitcoin right at this moment, right? We're actually holding steady within this pattern here. So as long as things are within this pattern, we're still okay. There's no change in condition. There's no real change in pattern, and things are pretty much staying as usual, business as usual. All right, let's actually get into a little bit of a shorter time frames to see what is going on and what we can find there. The 3 hour is already, pointing at a more of a bounce here. Let's actually look at zoom into the RSI here. Stochastic got rejected here first pass. Let's see what happens that second the second try. See if we can actually gain or regain or come back into the neutral trading neutral zone here within the stochastic RSI. If we do, then again, we can start to get a little more optimistic and look for follow through on this bounce. On the 3 hour though, I don't like that we're already painting a a red candle here. I would like to see sort of 3 green candles in continuation, or not simultaneously, but in continuation here. Hopefully this next 3 hour, we're about to close here at, actually, we just got this new 3 hour. Look, oh yeah, about 20, so right around 8 p.m. So this is a new 3 hour. What I want to see here, what I'm saying is, or what I'm trying to get at is here, that if we can paint 3 green open and closing candles here, that would be the white crow formation, and also indicative of a turnaround after a decline or a sort of a dip. And then we find, if we can get those 3 green candles, that'll be, also another indicator on the 3 hour that we could find possible continuation to the upside. But again, it's only the 3 hour. We would prefer to see something like that on a 4 hour, but we can't have everything that we want, as Mr. Rolling Stones said. You can't always get what you want. On 2 hour though is giving us sort of that formation that we are looking for. I would like to close this candle here, this 2 hour above the 30, and that would definitely signify a little bit more of a strength within this movement. And we started to get a little more hopeful on that. So that's the 2 hour. 2 hours actually entering into the neutral zone here, and the 21 exponential within the stochastic RSI is actually pretty looking like we're about to go test it, see what happens there. Maybe keep our eyes on a 2 hour as well. So 1 hour actually did get above and start opening and closing above the 30 simple here. Again, this area should not reflect too much resistance on the way up, and we are finding our way, or we are finding that we're being rejected off of the 21. I do want to see I do want to see the price action get on top of the 21, and then maybe hopefully have that transpire over to the higher time frames, like 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour, and hopefully the daily. All right, so those are some things to look for within the next day or so. And we'll just have to wait and see if this is an actual bounce. But as of right now, it is looking like we have found sort of a temporary bottom, at least. All right, let's get into some heavy movers, or things that are actually doing something interesting within the market. VAT has been one of those. VeChain has been one of those cryptos that has actually been doing something pretty interesting. Although now, this was the point where we turned around and kind of got bearish on it, and we did actually dip below it, and we're actually trying to, or VeChain is actually trying to bounce back, but it's going to find some heavy resistance right at this point here. Let's actually change the color so it reflects a resistance point there, and then we'll see. I mean, if we can get above this line of resistance here and flip to support, then we're certainly going to find that we are going to come back up, and probably rally for a bit. We'll see where things end, but there's another, you can already see here, sort of in this range here. There's going to be another area of some heavy resistance right around this area here. Let's actually adjust it just a tiny bit. There we go. So if we can get above this area, then we could possibly come back and retest right at 0.005886. That's on the lower time frames. As we do find that Bitcoin is trying to bounce at this point, we might actually find that everything else does follow in on that. So there's quite a bit of a possibility there. Let's actually look at Tezos with TUSD Tether now trading between the 89 and the 55 EMAs here, stuck within this range. Try to get above it, but actually was rejected. This is on the 4-hour again. Things are also looking pretty bottomish. This is a strong bounce here. What I would be looking for here is if we can close this, a full body candle above where this one opened here, and say right around where the 55 is. Hopefully have a close above it. That would look like more of a bullish engulfing candle, and again indicative of a turnaround. And then have continuation from that. Paint maybe a couple more green candles, and that would also indicate, again, the 3 white crows with some volume here. Some green candles above the exponential here certainly would be nice. But again, you can't always have what you want. But if you do get that, that is quite possibly a legitimate bounce. But at this time, we're still with Tesla's still kind of trying to figure out what is going to happen within the next few hours. Let's look at the daily, see what the daily is telling us. Let's see, nice bounce off of the 21. That's always bullish. We don't want to lose the 21. If we do, then that would mean that we are going to come back here and retest the simple 100 or 100 simple. And on the other hand, this is already looking like it already tried to get above the 30 simple here on a daily, and it failed. So it got rejected off of those levels there. Not a good sign, because again, on the way up, 30 simple it shouldn't be acting as a high or a point of heavy resistance. So that means there's not really a lot of conviction. Although this is a new daily, and we're just seeing that the volume is just starting to really accumulate here within the last 3 or 4 hours of this new daily candle. So I mean, it's probably too early to tell, but I certainly would like to see this candle have a try and close, hopefully above the 30 simple, if we are to find another bounce into these previous highs here at 177. Does it have it in itself? We saw Link do really amazing things this year. Why not? I mean, maybe Tesla's will take over as the new Link, or just as the savior of this market. Let's actually now look at Waves. I think it's Waves USDT. We'll do Waves BTC as well, because that is more of an impressive chart here. Okay, so looking at the daily, let's see. So this previous pivot here is acting as heavy resistance. We can see that here. We're going to identify it as this pivot here is what I'm looking at right here, acting as heavy resistance that actually get rejected, now finding a bounce off of the 89. So depending on where we close this next daily here, there could be potentially a bounce. If we can hold the 89 and start painting a nice green candle, as long as we don't break below this 89, and we also have the 200 simple coming in right at the same spot at 0.8015. And as long as we don't break below that area, I do think there's a chance for another bounce and retry of this pivot here. which is coming in right around 0.9359. That'll be a next area of interest. If we can break above that, though, we can find some room to grow, to some room to actually to run, and quite possibly have a retest of the 200 EMA here at 1.22. Let's actually set up our next point of interest right about there. And it also makes sense, right? I mean, we're looking where the 200 is coming in at. There's a previous wick to this side and rejection, another rejection. So this could really act as heavy resistance here. And as this 200 starts to come back down to meet it, that's where we'll find some pretty heavy resistance. But on the other hand, if we can get above the 200 EMA here, that is indicative of a big, that there's big pockets behind it. There's some conviction behind this move, and we could actually keep on running. But I really am skeptical about getting above this 200. Just the market conditions are not really ones to tell, or ones to really make us think that we can actually get above the 200 and continue rallying to the upside. But as with Link, we saw stranger things with Link earlier this year. Again, waves and Teslas could possibly be those to really come in and save the market. So what I'm thinking of doing, and I'm just sharing not financial advice, I'm thinking that if we hold this area, I might actually enter a BTC waves trade here. Let's actually look at forgot the S here. Let's actually look at that and what that would look like. And of course, because Bitcoin has been on a continuous downtrend, this chart looks slightly better. Yeah, this is kind of where we're being. This is kind of the area where we are finding heavy resistance there, being rejected there. This might also be another point up here, and it makes sense. We have the 200 coming in right around that same level again, with the 200 EMA there, going to act as heavy resistance with a previous pivot as well. So definitely am looking at this as some areas of heavy resistance. But again, if we can get above this if we hold here at these levels, right where we are, right where this wick ends and this new candle opened up, if we can hold this range here, this area, this price here, then there's quite a bit of a possibility that we come back and retest this previous pivot high here. And if we can get above it again, we're going to come back and retest. But do we have enough to actually get above the 200 and continue rallying? I don't know. The RSI is looking pretty toppish as well. But we can have extended runs. We don't have an example to show you here with waves being a relatively a new crypto for these markets. So don't know that we do actually have what it takes to actually have a continued extended bull run here with waves. So we'll have to wait and see here. But this is definitely looking okay to me. As long as we don't break below that, or if we go back to the waves USDT chart, I think it did it better justice, or just looking like a more predictable chart here actually. As long as we don't break below the 89 exponential and the 200, we're going to be okay. There could be continuation to the upside. All right, so let's see anything else in the market that really stands out. Let's look at XRP real quick. Nope. Link, not looking as bad as some other altcoins. Did not lose this previous pivot here. Found support right at this range here, where we had previously set our support levels. Finding a nice support there. Again, I like that it hasn't lost this previous pivot low. That is also a good indicator. There's some strength within it. Now I do want to see what happens here with the stochastic and start to turn things around. after this nice little red candle above the exponential here. We want to see the same thing. We want to see some green candles above the exponential within the volume. We want to see the RSI get actually into the neutral zone and start making its way up into the bullish control zone. All right. So that's some of the things that we're looking for on Link. BNB chart is, BNB is looking. I don't like BNB as much. It's gonna have to. It just has a harder, tougher road ahead if it actually wants to turn things around. It's looking very bearish at the moment, but also looking like it's found by quite possibly a temporary bottom here. But again, nothing to really get long on, nothing to get really too overly excited about. Link, same thing. Okay, so I told you guys I wasn't going to do that. So let's actually get into traditional markets. We did have a nice close at around 31.92. And you know, again, there's room for corrections along the way. As we did see here, 31, we did have a nice run to the upside. We're making our way to the 3200s level, which again would mean another all-time high. But there's room for corrections, as we do see here. We constantly, and this is again another picture perfect indication or chart that just paints what a real bullish trend looks like. Testing the 30 simple and just bouncing off of it many times, going to test the 21 and just having a nice bounce off of it each time it comes down to retested. It just finds support time after time. Again, we retested the 21 here, another bullish sign. We did lose it for a bit, but we found that support around the 200 EMA, which is would have been a turnaround indicator in my eyes if we did lose the 200. But again, just finding more and more support, retesting the 30 right along along the way. But then again, getting above it time and time after again. So there's room for a correction here as this 30 comes back up to kind of catch up to price action. I do think there's a quite a good possibility that we actually come back down and retest the 30 here as soon as the end of this week. I don't think we are going to end the week without a retest of the 30. I really, if we do that, I mean that is just going to be an amazing just continuation of this extended bull run. And we certainly, if we don't come back and retest this 30 within the week, I do think we are going to see 3,200 by the end of the week. Again, if we don't start to turn things around here and have a correction within the next couple of days. All right. So I'm leaning towards having a correction and actually retesting the 30 here within the week before the end of the week, and then quite possibly have a nice bounce off of this area here for next week, and ultimately setting an all-time high at 3,200. I do think we're gearing up for that. Trade talks continue today, and things were looking pretty good on that end. Things seems like China and the U.S. just keep working on this trade deal, and things are looking on the up and up. So more reason to actually stay bullish on the S&P and traditional markets. Let's actually look at Tesla and see how it did today. I mean, just amazing. We were talking about this one just the other day, and again, it's up against some heavy resistance because again, these are all-time highs for Tesla. These are all-time highs. Now let's actually get into a weekly so we can actually look at the entire history here. I mean, look at that. Tesla putting in some work for sure. So here's the thing. If we break above, what will be the all-time high there? 389, 390. If we can break above 390, Tesla's probably going to break out. It's probably going to break out. Now, I'm having an internal debate here in my mind whether I should tell you guys, because this is unofficial news. So I'm having an internal debate, but I heard something through the grapevine about Tesla that I found very interesting, but I don't know because again, this is through really, I don't know if this source is valid, but I heard something. I'm really tempted to tell you, but I'm not going to come out and say it unless I get people talking about this on the comments and actually, um, actually, pushing for that. If not, then I'm just going to leave it alone. But I heard a piece of news that could be very, very controversial for Tesla before the end of the year, or by the end of the year, or around the new year. Something kind of wacky and funky is brewing over at Tesla. Don't want to say much about that because unless you guys want me to come out and say it. Okay. All right. I'll leave it at that. Let's talk about something else. Although this run also is starting to look a little bit overextended, and like we could potentially have a correction here. We're looking at the weekly. Let's actually get into lower time frames to see how it is looking from this perspective. I mean, again, just very bullish trend here. Finding support within the 55 here, getting above again all major moving averages. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Although it is looking like it wants to actually come back down and retest the 30, quite possibly the 21. So tomorrow we might find that Tesla definitely does retest 360. Well, not tomorrow, but within the next couple of days we could find that Tesla actually could come back and retest the $360 level. Based on how things are looking, it does look like this run is fizzling out, and the RSI is overextended here, definitely, at least on the 4-hour. Let's look at the daily again. Yeah, just it's looking like it's starting to turn around. Whether it flips underneath this orange exponential here within the stochastic, if it does cross to the downside, then that certainly will mean that we are going to come back and retest 360 before the end of the week. Could be a nice buying opportunity for you guys, but again, we don't know because apparently there's something really funky brewing over in Tesla. Let's take a look at, I am interested in Ford Motor Company because it just had some tough days. And some bad news just hit the market as well, not being reflected here. Wanted to see if the news were actually going to affect the price of Ford stock, but it doesn't look like it did. Okay, all right, it did not. Let's actually look at Boeing. And Boeing landing some more planes. As long as we don't break this area of support here, right there. As long as we don't break that, Boeing will be all right for the time being. But we could potentially find a nice little bounce here. Not financial advice, but things are starting to slightly turn around here for Boeing. There could be an opportunity for a buy the dips sort of scenario. But what I'm looking for here is that they really come out with a solid plan, because so far they just keep landing more and more planes, and the outlook is looking pretty dim. And if they lose investor faith, then things are going to be very, very nasty for Boeing. So I don't know if I'm quite ready to enter into a Boeing. Let's look at Apple. Apple was also looking pretty hot this week. I mean, look at that, just on par with the S&P. Again, there's going to come a time where we're going to have to retest these right where the 30 and 21 are coming in at. RSI is looking like we could have another extended run like we did here, just flattening out here. As long as we don't take a negative slope on the RSI here and have a cross below, Let's actually look at it because it's pretty close. I mean, they're just intercepting right at these levels here, the RSI. So it does look like it might want to cross. Also, that little candle up there could be a sign of a reversal here. If we zoom in a little bit, could be a sign of reversal there and come back and retest the 30 simple. But again, we're not getting bearish until we get down to these levels at 200. The 200 EMA. That's an area where if we break this area, then things just start looking pretty nasty. But again, there would something really bad would have to break the airwaves as far as a trade deal. Maybe China, just abandons the trade deal. That's the kind of thing that would make would make a stock drop all the way down to about these levels here. All right. All right, I'll leave it at that, guys. Like I said, I'm not going to be posting these in every social media platform. I am going to leave these updates as short as possible, and only to those who are signed up to the channel. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit that button on your screen right there. Right now, and make sure you follow us and stay engaged with the community. Let me know if you guys want me to actually come out and tell you what I heard on Tesla. Leave it down in the comments. And also, if thanks for those who have joined the community recently. I really do appreciate it. Hope that you got something in exchange for your time here. I will see you on the next one.